Actually, all you really have to do is sign on the dotted line. Don't worry, it's nothing shady in the slightest. We opened this week with,
Excuse me, what?
No, wait, never mind. The first opening to the show played, so yeah, we got the right one. And yeah, starting next week, they are going to start playing a new opening to really highlight the fact that we're going into the show's second half with a lot of new characters. However, for this episode, they decided to restart the show after a 1-week break with a bit of a side story featuring a girl named Botan Kisaragi, and unfortunately, she doesn't quite live up to either of those names. To be fair, still better effects than anything that comes out of the MCU these days. But yeah, this girl was an obvious fan of the actual princesses of the show, and like most wannabe superheroes, she tried to rip them off. So yeah, interestingly enough, this episode for once didn't borrow from this week's Precure episode, thank god, but rather Tojima wants to be a Kamen Rider. Granted, she was still young, and therefore could dedicate herself a little more to her Oshi. You could even say that she was gushing over them. Yeah, by the way, looking forward to seeing them restart soon. Then again, considering that she was calling herself Magenta, there would likely be some trademark disputes. Still, until the day Vena paid her a visit, she decided to spend her days designing her OC. Also, I love this subtle gag of her accidentally tearing 2 calendar pages at once and trying to put one of them back. It's a simple gag that they didn't really need to include, as the calendar being torn away is already inherently kind of funny in highlighting how much Botan was obsessing over this stuff, but it was appreciated because it was that simple. No, and they also threw in this random Minamo commentary because, I don't know, her VA was getting tired of just sitting around. Anyway, she managed to complete her costume that made her look more like a magical school student than a princess. I mean, come on girl, you at least need to commit to the leotard. Don't forget about the in-between attacks that you could spam and pad out the runtime. Eventually, her antics ended up attracting the attention of a younger girl who took interest and thought she was a legit princess. And this is what happens when you don't raise your kids on Ojamajo Doremi. Then again, this kid also wasn't at the grade level where they learn about the primary colors. But yeah, this girl was named Asaki, and in spite of just being 5, she had managed to log into the Alice Beer, which impressed Botan, who, back when she was her age, apparently didn't have a phone, which makes you feel like a bit of a boomer now, doesn't it? Okay, but seriously, this is a nice subtle bit of world building, with some very real-life connotations to it. Anyway, Asaki had a little request for the quote-unquote princess. Don't lie, girl. We all know what your future is gonna look like. But yeah, she made up some lame excuse which disappointed Asaki, but in exchange, she decided to show off her own dance skills, which were typical for her age. I mean, they were certainly sincere and pure enough that Botan was able to recognize that this kid was passionate about the stuff. It showed that while objectively nothing amazing, anyone who came to the Alice Beer could be recognized in some way for their passions, much like how Botan was trying to be recognized for her princess outfit, which was held together with hope and literal scotch tape. Still, Botan ended up imparting some very positive messages to Asaki, and in turn the target audience, who likely are around her age, so yeah, good stuff all around really. Then again, as positive as her messaging was, Princess Magenta was very much a false idol who tried to tell the truth, but was then interrupted by, surprisingly enough, some Jamork pawns in spite of the Red Queen being gone. They would address this later, but first the two had to get to safety. This led to a pretty entertaining little chase scene where the two tried to make their way to the logout portals. They tried hiding until the coast was clear, but forgot that these guys could fly too. Quick, do what Homer does! In fact, look, he's already doing it! However, they quickly found themselves cornered again, and okay, I just love this one pawn with a smug-ass look on his face. I can just imagine him saying, heh, sorry bitch, but I ain't losing out to some sugar Rune knockoff. All seemed lost, and Botan wanted to call out for the real princesses, but Asagi called out for someone a little different. This of course gave Botan the adrenaline rush she needed to fight back, only to realize that, yeah, she ain't a superheroine, but still A for effort. Besides, it didn't buy them enough time for the real heroines to show up. And yeah, since this was basically a filler episode, they didn't have the best animation this week, but they did have Nabashin as a storyboarder, so we got something to say the least. Now I gotta say, you went full fry. Never go full fry. Actually, the funniest bit was Botan mistaking Navier for being the contractual space bunny. To which he rightfully asked if there was something wrong with her, because that's just profiling, bro. Anyway, the princesses dealt with the small fry with their punches, kicks, and moves they saw in WWE. However, the pawns then tried to fight back by fusing together, but as Kaguri pointed out, they already tried this trick, which was essentially the equivalent of a bunch of kids stacking on top of each other's shoulders. But hey, at least we got Fight Might Me as a result, so can't really complain that much. With that, Botan and Asagi were rescued, but afterwards, Kaguri unintentionally exposed the former as a phony.
You're a phony!
Well, Asagi at least didn't exactly see it that way, as she did still bravely face down the Jomooks for her. So really, the only things that separated her from the real things were some superpowers and bare scotch tape. With that, the two declared that they worked together to one day become real princesses themselves, again with hopefully some better material. And as for Asagi's princess alias, well, okay, now all you need is some yellow to complete the set, and then also get a bunch of complaints online about how it's already been done and such. With that, the episode ended with a stinger as the princesses wondered who was unleashing the Jomooks following the defeat of the Red Queen. This was a pretty fun little side adventure that helped to flesh out the world a little more. I mean, yeah, we didn't learn any new secrets about the Alisphere like previous episodes, but we did learn what sort of effect our main heroines were having on it. Which, in a way, is just as important a bit of world building as it does make their presence feel all the more relevant. Between this and episode 13, which also took place after a core of the series, I am starting to notice a bit of a pattern. The princesses have a climactic battle at the end of the core, and in the immediate episode afterwards, we have what's basically a Fallout episode, where we learn how their legend is spreading in the Alisphere. And while this is nowhere near as god-tier hilarious as the band Snatch trying to learn more about their enemy, this is still a charming adventure about a couple of their fans. Botan and Asagi were good examples of the positive influence that they had on the Alisphere by encouraging other girls to better themselves by emulating them a little. Yeah, Botan may focus on some of the wrong aspects. I mean, at least Tojima barred to exercise and discipline himself and didn't go straight for the mask. But methodologies aside, their passion was there, and it was cute to essentially see two different generations interacting and admiring each other. It makes this world feel more real and lived in, which are the little details that we do appreciate around these parts. And overall, this is a decent transitional episode as we go into the next core. Of course, I do kind of wish that we could have just jumped in right this week, because things are looking really interesting, but sometimes you just have to stop and appreciate the little things in life. Thanks for watching this review that's now coming out a day later, because yeah, we are moving our schedule around a little bit. We might change things up if something looks particularly interesting, but for now, our release schedule going forward from Sunday to Tuesdays will be Tojima, Idol Precure, and then this show. Still, look forward to whatever comes next, and until then though, farewell for now my friends, and again, Narutaki's getting triggered. Dude, get a hobby.